getting settled. So first order of business will be to approve the minutes from the September 4th meeting. Of a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
So we'll hop into the agenda. When we get to the citizen comment period, I would like to ask our prospective members to say a few words about themselves, just as an introduction to the board here and the ex officio members. We've got a busy day today. There are some activities this evening at City Council meeting where we'll be participating with Victoria. We'll go through some of those items during our agenda today. Without further ado, we can move right into citizen comments when everything else is covered. Okay, so I'd like to open the citizen comment period to invite our prospective board members. Henry, do you want to start?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Henry Sear, prospective board member. Born in Kyle too many years ago, and returned about 8 years ago. Corporate life, finance, risk background, previously served on the library board. Really interested in helping our community get to where we want to go. So look forward to working with everyone.
Well, sorry, I'm not sure who else is next. My name's Spencer, a newer resident to Kyle. Super excited to be here. Thank you for having me. My background, right now I'm a small business owner, specializing in finance and accounting consulting to help small businesses grow. My previous background was with a startup in Austin, growing that business. It's advanced manufacturing, and before that I was actually in tourism.
What's the name of your business?
Premier Crew Consulting.
All right.
It was an incredibly competitive process. We had 16, I believe, candidates who made it to a review session that we held with the mayor, members of staff, and also other city council members came to participate. Following that discussion, we then had interviews with identified finalists. So we were really thrilled with how much interest there was in serving on the board. And Henry and Spencer, I'd like to thank you in advance for your willingness to contribute to our community. Very much look forward to that process and getting to the work together. So thank you very much for that. All right, shall we turn it over to staff for updates?
So you may notice it's slightly different. We're now going to list everything that we're going to talk about specifically in the agenda instead of in the backup items to make sure that we're really clear for all the open. So every month we're going to try to cover what happened this last month at City Council meetings that are related to economic development and what's coming up in the future. So we have 2 items on the agenda tonight, and Eddie's going to be there to help out a little bit with those. And so we'll have the appointments and reappointments of our regular and ex officio board members. So we have 2 members who are being reappointed, and that is Eddie and Julian, who make it today. And then we also will be appointing Yao Fan as an ex officio member. You guys met her last month. And of course, hopefully appointing these other new members as well to the council approved. And then, Victoria presented her economic development strategic plan to council last month, but that was mainly to get their feedback and approval so that we could move forward. So this month, today, we're going to have a resolution approving that, hopefully. And she did want to share again the key initiatives that we'll be working on, and we're going to add these onto our website in the future, where the city is getting a more robust dashboard for the public to see how we're meeting goals and things like that. So we'll be working together to get these initiatives up there and track how we're actually doing on them. So she wanted you to take this with you today. And really, you can take all the packet, anything that, unless we had an executive session, those things we would need, but really take all of it. you okay with me? I
Yeah, go ahead, Susan. I'll jump in when I need to and
The
say a
next
few
flyer in
things.
there is we have
Yes.
a couple events coming up, and we are very excited about this. This is our second small business symposium. This was called Kickstart to Success Small Business Symposium. And if you didn't know, you're invited. If you're able to make it, it's next Monday at 1 p.m. We're going to have all these entities that are listed here, as well as a few more, introduce themselves and have tables for businesses to visit to get one-on-one information. So we'll have basically 45 minutes to an hour of everybody introducing what they do so that the businesses know, do I need to talk to that person or not? And then they'll be at the tables in case they go, oh yeah, I really had a So we want you to also share this with the community. We have, I've heard that some people haven't seen it, but we have on Facebook shared it. Last I checked a couple days ago, we had 41 people who were saying that they were interested or going. GSMP was nice enough to share it for us, and it's been on the chamber event calendar. We shared it to multiple groups on Facebook. We put it on the bulletin board at the library. It's at City Hall. It's on the chamber bulletin board. It's at the Daily Grind. Anywhere I could find that there was a community space. But if you could help us out and share it too, we'd really appreciate it. So we have a Facebook event, share this flyer, and I could give you more if you want more flyers.
You got that one covered. Yeah, good job. Okay, so the next one we have is City Fest coming up on October 19th, and that's where it'll be, a full day from 2 to 6 of just City Fest. Really what it is the state of the city, but our mayor, of course, will do a presentation there. That will happen between 4 and 4:45, so if any of you guys are interested in joining us, the mayor will be doing his presentation then. But other than that, we'll have food, we'll have music, we'll have a chili cook-off, a cornhole tournament, all of our departments, economic development, building, public works, police, parks, every department with the city of Kyle will be out there. They'll each have a booth for people to come by and just find out what it is we do. So if anyone can join us, it'd be great. It's a free event. Love to see everybody out there. Susan, did I miss anything there? Oh, if anyone here is interested in signing up to either be in the chili cook-off or on the cornhole tournament, still have available entry. So that'd be fun.
Yeah, we just wanted to make sure everybody knew that the state of the city was happening a little bit differently this year. And normally it would happen at the chamber, but the city wanted to open it up to everybody and make sure that the public was aware. That's it.
Oh,
Next is the
okay.
sales tax.
I typically don't cover this one. I don't know if Susan, the sales tax report better, or even Eddie.
I could offer a few comments. So it looks
Yeah.
like we just carried over the August number as a September estimate. So you'll see September's projecting down over 2%, which is out of range compared to this year. My full expectation is when we have actuals plugged in here, it will not be a negative number for September. But even with that, we're tracking at about 8.5% over our revenue collections from prior year. Has Builders First Source opened yet? Do we know?
Not yet.
So they're one of the highest yielding tax constituents any municipality can have. They do a whole lot of business and charge a whole lot of tax. So as soon as they do open up, if they haven't already, I would expect a noticeable bump in our numbers. And as we continue to open new businesses every month, I've not seen anything that indicates we should expect a slowdown on tax revenues. So without the detail of September available, I'm taking it a bit on faith that September is also going to be a good month, and we'll see our spread year-to-date increase as we get reports from follow. So we'll pay attention to that coming up in future months. But obviously, the city's doing a nice job collecting tax revenue. Credit to our businesses that are doing well and thriving here and contributing to our community. Good news on that. I don't have any other
Excellent.
comments.
Okay, excellent. Anybody have any questions?
On that comparison to fiscal year 23, the September 23 number is the same as August 23. Is that the carryover projection that you were mentioning earlier?
Yeah, I think that's an error.
Okay.
So I think we'll have to go back and take a look.
And that might change, of course, how our variance looks year over year.
Yes, would expect it to. I don't expect a monumental shift, but I do expect that's inaccurate. So
Thanks.
we'll get to the bottom of it.
Ah,
What's that?
ah,
You know somebody.
yeah.
So we do board member updates. All right, board member updates. Anyone have anything to share?
Who wants to go first? Yeah, go ahead.
So I left Summer Moon. Unfortunately, I'm not with them anymore being general manager, but I'm still in hospitality. I'm working with the W Marriott downtown, and we're opening up a coffee shop. So they're doing $70 million renovation, and everything opens up on October 15th. But yeah, just doing this for now. Graduated in May, so I'm still looking for career options, but love hospitality, love hotels and that kind of stuff. So working with them to open that.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Awesome. Dr. Wright?
Yeah, I'll be happy to share. Last week we got to participate in the Greater San Marcos Partnership Workforce Development Luncheon, and we got to hear from the president from Texas State. And if y'all haven't met that guy, he's outstanding. He's one of the most personable, dynamic presidents I think Texas State has had in a long time. And I think everywhere they have an activity, you see him there. And so it was really good to hear from him. But it's also good to hear from the superintendent from San Marcos and from Dripping Springs and from Wimberley to hear what's going on in the public school world as it relates to building partnerships and trying to grow our CTE programs and then just some needs in general that we have ahead of the legislative session. So we got to share those. So that was fun. And on October 18th, we have our State of the District fundraiser for our education foundation. This is the first time we've ever run it through the foundation, and we have all of our sponsorships sold, and we still have about 20 tickets left, and we're going to let people tour our new building as a part of that, and we will probably have we're doing phase 2 right now, which is the additional parking. The building is designed to do training as well as house our 300 employees, and so we have parking for our employees, but we don't have parking for events. But they poured phase 2 like Monday, and it'll take 20 days to cure before we can use that. And then phase 3 will be after that, and then we'll be completed, and we'll start with the landscaping piece of it. And elementary 17 over off of Gristmill, we're starting to see progress. We have walls that are going up, and so it's neat when you get to design one, but it's even better when you get to see them actually progressing. So that's been good. This month we have our Battle of the Bands. We'll have all 3 high school bands and all 6 middle school bands at the field at one time. If you're into that kind of thing, their shows for the high school bands are incredible. They do a great job, and so just like to invite everybody out for that. I forget the date, but it's on our website. If you want to look it up, they all run together for me because there's so many of them. But anyway, everything is going well. We are preparing our legislative priorities ahead of the legislative session, and of course, we just need more money to combat inflation in our basic allotment. So that's kind of what we're pushing for. So that's us in a nutshell.
That's lots.
Anybody else have any update?
I'll just share just a welcome. I'm Luke Miller. I'm the COO for Seton Hayes. I wasn't here last time, so didn't get a chance to meet you or welcome you all today. So
I'll do a very quick update. I'm Julie Snyder with the Kyle Chamber of Commerce. We held our candidate forum for City Council 2 weeks ago. So if any of you are interested in learning more about the candidates, if you're voters or if your team are voters in Kyle, we will have written responses from each candidate on our website. And we are also sharing it with all of our members. So make sure you get out and vote. Very important for local candidates. And then we're just winding down and winding up, going through our planning and nomination process for new board members, and got a lot happening in 2025 on the calendar already. So
I'll introduce myself. Mike Camerlander with Greater San Marcos Partnership. Hope you used that name, changes in a month. So I'll reintroduce myself. Sorry I missed it. I heard it was great, but I was in Chicago, which Victoria's supposed to go on, but couldn't. Promoting the region, we have our annual board meeting on the 17th, so that will be coming up. Like I said, changing our name shortly to be more regional and focus on those things. And then we have our FAM tour next week, which we bring in consultants to bring a lot of Kyle markets and Caldwell County as well. And I do want to talk about Prop A for Hays County. Something I think the partnership's going to actually weigh in on for the roads. Please vote. Please, I can say, please vote for Prop A. It is absolutely critical for economic development to have roads that work and move people. So please go vote. That's what we got right now.
the signs are good. I've seen some signs saying vote yes, Prop A.
I think you're going to see more
Yeah,
in the
that's good.
coming weeks. There's a little angst out there right now about whether.
Sure. By the way, if you want to learn more about that, we still have the recording of the transportation program when Commissioner Cohen talked a little bit about Prop A. So it's on our website. If you want me to send the link, I'm happy to send that. You can watch the entire program that talks about all of those road projects here in Hays County. Yeah, it's very good information. Mhm. Sure.
Thank you. Like anything. Thank you. Any other board member updates? Okay. Moving to the next item on the agenda, I think we've covered off on 3 exhibits there. Branding initiative. So you've got in, does everyone have this packet? The branding? Okay. So one of the items that's going to be up for discussion tonight with council is potential consideration of merchandise branding. There are several elements that go into this. Don't think just we're going to update the logo. It's substantially more than that. So it's things like with how many new roundabouts we have. Is it 25 that are on the docket right now? But it's how do we want the city of Kyle to have aesthetic standards on some of these things that are significant physical things we're all going to see pretty often. What do we want them to look like? So it's more than just a logo. It's more than just a tagline, although those things will certainly be within scope of this initiative. One of the things that I'd actually like to generate a little bit of conversation on today, because this is an open item that we don't know how council feels about it, but there is some emotional tie to the history and heritage of the city of Kyle being tied to the pie capital. There have been events in the past that have directly tied into that branding. Some of those events have gone away and aren't likely to resurface. But one of the decisions that's at play is, do we take the step to protect that intellectual property around high capital that Kyle has invested in over the years? So we'll get a point of view from council this evening. But as Victoria and I have this conversation.
Actually, it'll be
Has it been? Okay.
the branding competition.
Will this initiative be in discussion this evening?
No.
It got pushed up.
Yeah, we'll have a meeting with communications today about what we want to present, but so we wanted to emphasize.
So this is our only meeting before that. So this is our opportunity to discuss it. So I think the primary thing, I'd just love to get any feedback that anyone around the table has around high capital. Is it something that we should protect and re-register? Should we let it expire? And once you let it expire, you no longer have control. Someone else can certainly take steps there. I'll tell you that it's less than $1,000, so it's not necessarily a financial issue. Do we want to maintain that as intellectual property for the city of Kyle? So I welcome any comments anybody has. Victoria and I'll be speaking later today.
What's our deadline on the next one?
That's a great question. I know it is coming up. I don't know the date, but I think we're acting in time in order to preserve it if we choose.
Says December 2024. In here. Trademark for Pie Capital expires.
Thank you.
So inevitably, if we decide to protect the intellectual property, it's not something we can just shelve and never use. You have to document use in order to protect intellectual property. So it might be in a dark corner of the website somewhere. It may be physically on something, like if we wanted to approach our pie store on Main Street and offer some sort of plaque or something that they could put on the outside of their building. There would be evidence of use required in order to re-register and protect that intellectual property. None of those steps are significant in terms of expense, but those will be things that will be required to do in order to maintain the protection that we seek it.
And do we have any insight on how much tourism gets driven by that aspect of the branding, or is that's a nebulous number that's hard to?
I'm unsure of that right now.
You hit
Without-
an interesting point,
Right.
because as I've talked to Victoria about this topic, I think that's really the only place in place. Is if someday the city of Kyle wanted to do something spectacular around a pie cooking contest or some
Right.
sort of event to celebrate that heritage, if we protect the mark, we'll have its availability if the city ever decides to do that. So but at this point, I've recommended to Victoria, subject to how this conversation goes, it is worth protecting part of the history and culture of the city. And it's not terribly difficult to do that. I think the harder question is, where do we ever want to use it? And I think there is danger in part of my thought is if it goes away forever, there's no chance anyone will try to push an initiative to brand Kyle as the pie capital in our future. And I think there's so much more the city offers that's relevant to the branding of the city. I don't want to be encumbered as we move forward to have to do something around our pie history. I would much rather the city have the ability through a branding effort to think about what is the city going to mean to the community, our residents, businesses for the long term. What do we want to say to people who we're trying to recruit to move here, frankly, to move here? I'd much rather focus on what's the right thing than looking backward to pie heritage. I think the pie heritage has its place. And I don't think we need to divorce ourselves from that history. What I do think is important is that we move forward with a branding strategy, makes sense forward looking. So my hope is that if we protect the intellectual property, we are not going to have, okay, but should that be the branding for the city? My hope is that council will guide us to something very different than branding. And I feel like that's the way it's going. But for those reasons, I think it's worth holding on to, especially at the small expense it would take to maintain it. And it is a part of our history and culture here in the community. So I don't want to do disservice or disrespect that. But I think that there's a very forward-looking branding strategy that I'm excited about. So that's the point of view I've shared to date with Victoria. But we do have the ability to impact what gets presented. So if anyone has any other thoughts to share, this would be a wonderful time to do it. If not, Victoria has a recommendation that I'll confirm to her tonight, subject to any comments anyone else has.
I agree. It's cheap to re-up it, but it should not be the future focus of the city. You look at the other capitals of things. Lockhart's a good example. People go to Lockhart Barbecue. They do. That is a driver of their tourism. That is what they're known for. I don't think anybody really comes to Kyle to pie. I just don't. Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong. This came out of pie company going to HEB. That wasn't that genesis of this.
I don't know the history of it.
I think it was, and you ran with it. Okay, that was 7 years ago. One pie company. And you started pie stuff, and you turned it into something. It's great, but we're we're a completely different city now in 2017. And so I think, yes, it should be, we did it, it's great, pie is wonderful, everyone loves pie. But moving forward, the city seems, for lack of a better way of saying it, small.
It's like half of our programs have already been discontinued
Right.
anyways with it, so might as well start.
But the brand, the literal brand that is the K, right? And that history, I think, is
Yes.
better. And I don't know, and that's fine. I don't have any issue with that. The brand of like,
Yeah, it's part of our personality. We're also certified through the Texas Film Commission. We can have films here as well. So it's just part of our personality and our character, but it doesn't necessarily have to be our branding.
I don't think we need to take any action on that today. I don't feel anything's required to use it.
No, it's just
It's
discussion.
just a discussion.
And did anybody have any other thoughts regarding, so there's multi-level branding. That's more of a tourism branding, and then this is our city branding. Thoughts regarding all of
but also back to the strategic plan, some of those things that you list, you want to do, being more family friendly things, that's where it needs to evolve to. So I think the strategic plan,
Okay.
That's a good segue. We're in an advanced stage with council. Plan is going to be. So this is really going to wind up being our guiding principles moving forward, which should help us make decisions on questions and challenges the council has for us. We're going to be referring back to this document quite a bit once it's finalized to say, is this consistent with the strategic plan that's been approved? So I would urge you all just to take a look at it. I think there's some really good thinking that has gone into this to date, and feel that there's a lot here that we can feel comfortable about for the future of the city. But again, if you've got questions, concerns, et cetera.
Sir, I have a question. Page 15, I'm curious about that, the logo and the letters in terms of the representation. To me, it doesn't seem that it indicates how.
With the K,
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious about that. The design.
She's
that's
curious
been-
about
there's
this.
actually
Oh, the
physical
Kmart.
metal brands
Right.
that have been used.
Yes, so earlier in the packet, it talked about the fact that this whole K, this is what we call the K mark, right?
That's right.
Was inspired by the local branches and their brands, and TxDOT put those like on the highway, you'll see them, the historic brands that were the local branches. So that was developed to be in line with that. We haven't really run with the whole cattle town theme either. And I don't know that we want to. But it's meant to look like it's a brand. It's a double use of the word brand there. But and communications will definitely have some input. They have a graphic designer on staff, and so I haven't received from them what they're thinking or is on this. But I think they're asking. We're kind of jointly presenting this that we hire a company to help us develop a full brand. But this does exist on other monuments and things, so.
Well, we're not
Again, it
just
might be
talking,
historic.
we're not just talking about logo. This is branding. Who are we? What?
Right,
That's what I see.
right. It's very confusing.
Makes no difference what the logo looks like. It's who are we and what's our
I think the
message?
logo will wind up being a reflection of the other conversation.
Sure.
Right. And we definitely are wanting to move from what I've talked to leadership to a big city concept away from a small town. We want to keep the charm, but still move on to the fact that we are a big city.
Okay. So, at this point, we have a motion to adjourn. We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting closed. Thank you so much for being here. Victoria would be remiss if I didn't remind everyone, attendance is super important as we have things that we're going to need to vote on to get back to council on. So please try as hard as you can to protect this time as we move forward. And we'll look forward to seeing you all, if not sooner, next week.
Yeah, November 6th is our next.